now are in the 80s, but by this time tomorrow, a big difference in temperature in your ABC 57 First Warning neighborhood weather forecast. ABC 57 News at 5:30 starts right now.
Live from Michiana, this is ABC 57 News at 5:30.
Flight was canceled.
It's been very crazy, but we made it.
Tonight, many of you are feeling the impacts of those flights being canceled or delayed. We're taking a closer look at the trouble on the ground leading to the trouble in the air.
Plus, all new for you here at 5:30. It has been 1 month since the new US 31 opened. How businesses along the old road are doing here tonight as they see fewer cars pass by.
Yeah, the new US 31, boy, it was supposed to be convenient for drivers, but the bypass is affecting some small local businesses. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Dorman.
And I'm Kim Chappell. Now, many of you have been driving the new US 31 for just a little over a month now as it stretches from Plymouth to South Bend.
ABC 57 Stephanie Johnson went out today to talk with a couple of those business owners along the old US 31 route to see how business has been affected by this. And Stephanie, some say they are really struggling to get customers through the door.
Yeah, Brian, if you can see behind me, there are some roadblocks telling drivers to stop, and it's giving some business owners a headache tonight, including around the corner shop service. There's been less of this in the last month for business owner Christopher David.
They had the road completely barricaded off where we could not get any vehicles in or out of the area, including our own.
Around the corner auto services, their flag waves open, but the barricades a couple hundred feet away tell a different story. The new US 31 may have opened about a month ago, but construction putting the final touches on the new highway is getting in the way of David's bottom dollar.
Our car count has probably dropped by at least 50%.
Now David says they'd see on average 8 to 10 cars a day before the new US 31 opened. Now they only get about 3 to 4 new cars a day, with only about 1 new car per week.
And that's where that's how you build a business with new customers.
But he's grateful for those regulars who continue to fight their way through roadblocks to get their cars fixed.
Mine and my employees, this is our livelihood.
And down the road, Kevin Colvin, owner of Pat's in La Paz, feels the same way about his loyal customers.
Probably about 90% of our business is local.
Colvin says it's
hard to say what percentage is gained or lost from the bypass.
But he says one thing's for certain. The road work is certainly putting the brakes on gaining new ones.
There isn't a sign for La Paz at the exit off of 31 onto 6, and we're hoping that we get that soon.
He's filed complaints to NDOT and hasn't heard anything back. And as far as David at Around the Corner, he says he's been calling the state to find out how it plans to redirect traffic his way. Nobody
wants to stop in and at least even sit down and talk with me to let me know what their plans are, contingency plans, or anything of that nature.
Now, I reached out to NDOT and a state engineer on behalf of Colvin and David and haven't heard anything back either. Reporting live on Old US 31, Stephanie Johnson, ABC 57 News.
Well, many of us got to enjoy a nice weekend all across Michiana, and more of the same today, but how will your evening shape up?
Yeah, let's find out right now with ABC 57 Chief Meteorologist Tom Coombs. He is tracking a mild evening from the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center. Tom, 81 in South Bend today.
Yeah, still in the 80s right now. As we head towards the 6 o'clock hour, we'll see that drop into the 70s, but it is very mild weather. Again, the normal high for this time of year is 69 degrees. Here's the plan for this evening. Clear skies, mild temperatures, 70s 6 to 7 p.m., 60s 8 to 9 p.m., and likely till around midnight. Then a sharp fall in temperatures by tomorrow. Showing you the almanac because we did get to 81 today and that normal high 69. Well, we'll see below normal temperatures tomorrow. Tracking that cool down into tomorrow. And what's in store the rest of the week? It's going to be an up and down weather pattern in your ABC 57 First Warning neighborhood weather forecast. Kim?
And breaking news right now, we have new details about that White House fence jumper. They are just coming into the ABC 57 newsroom. We are learning that the man who broke into the White House 2 weeks ago was actually able to make it pretty far inside. Sources tell ABC News that Omar Gonzalez was tackled in the East Room. That's where the president makes important announcements. It now calls into question the story originally released by the Secret Service, which said that Gonzalez had been taken into custody at the front doors. We will have more on this story during ABC 57 News at 10 and 11.
Tonight at 5:30, new details about that bizarre incident in Chicago that grounded thousands of flights. Some of you watching tonight in Michiana impacted by this after that fire at the air traffic control tower last week. Well, tonight is continuing to create a travel nightmare all around our country, not just in Chicago. Officials say that this could mean travel headaches for weeks. ABC's Elizabeth Herr is in New York tonight with what this means for you.
Got a peculiar problem in that nobody at Chicago Center is up.
Chaos and confusion in the air.
Chicago Center is having some problems, so we're stopped departures currently.
Closing the Chicago airspace and grounding some 4,000 flights around the country over the weekend.
Flight was canceled.
It's been very crazy, but we made it.
And now, new information about the 36-year-old contracted technician, Brian Howard, who, according to authorities, started a fire and knocked out a key air traffic control center in Illinois. 5:06 a.m. Friday, he entered the building with a suitcase. 30 minutes later, he posted an apparent suicide note. He then, officials say, started destroying the electronic gear in the basement of the building, radar, communications, flight plan computers, then the suicide attempt. Officials say in the end, there was so much blood along with fire and water damage, the FAA called it a biohazard and is building a new center. In other words, the travel disruptions could last at least 2 weeks, leaving many wondering how one man could cause all of this.
This contract person that created this dilemma is vetted, has a security clearance, and if they're inclined, and this gentleman was, to create havoc, they can do it.
Several members of Congress now calling for an investigation.
In the meantime, the FAA announced that there will be a 30-day review of its security protocols, and we have also learned that Howard is scheduled to appear in court later today. I'm Elizabeth Herr, ABC News, New York.
And new for you tonight, the FAA warned about this possible sabotage years ago. That's according to our ABC affiliate out of Chicago. They learned that red flags were raised years ago about how sabotage or even terrorism could lead to the air travel mess we are now seeing out of the Windy City. Again, it will be more than 2 weeks before the FAA facility in Aurora will be operating normally again.
U.S. Supreme Court justices return today. On the agenda, a handful of same-sex marriage cases, including Indiana's appeal. The judges could decide whether or not to review Indiana's marriage case. It is expected that the judges could even decide to review all 5 states' marriage equality cases as one.
Well, the new health center is opening up in downtown South Bend. The St. Joseph Regional Medical Center is opening the Our Lady of the Rosary Health Center. Now, that new health center will be located on South Chapin Center and will open October 3rd. It will be a primary care practice and offer family medicine, prenatal, and obstetrical care.
The November 4th general election is coming up, so ABC 57 News is launching Your Voice, Your Vote to help you prepare for the general election. In Indiana and Michigan, the voter registration deadline, October 6th, an important date there again, October 6th. You can register on each state's government website. To vote, make sure that you are both a U.S. citizen and a citizen of the state that you're voting in. You also must be 18 years old on or before the next general election date. And of course, to vote, you must also register ahead of time.
Will life ever be normal for NASCAR driver Tony Stewart? Well, during a press conference today, the driver says he doesn't know. This is the first time that Stewart has publicly spoken since a grand jury chose not to indict him for the August 9th crash that killed sprint car racer Kevin Ward Jr. Stewart's tire hit Ward, who stormed onto the track in an attempt to confront Stewart.
I think about it every day. And I wish I could say it was once a day, but it's not. I think about it a lot every day. And that's the great thing about getting back in the race car is it gives me time to forget about it for a minute and to stop thinking about it.
Stewart adds the accident will never leave his mind and be a part of his life forever. According to toxicology reports, Ward was under the influence of marijuana at the time of that crash.
Tonight, new developments in the case of the enteroviruses around the country as it hits 45 states here in the U.S.
We don't know information, and so that's why we're really asking people to say, hey, what's going on around the nation?
What some health officials say could happen to children, while another health official says don't be fearful.
Plus, new details released here tonight in a deadly bus accident that killed 4 softball players. What police say the driver of that semi didn't do before crashing into the bus.
Falling temperatures still in the 80s right now, 50s and 60s. I'll tell you when they return in your ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Forecast.